Hey, 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 how is everyone? How is everyone? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Sorry, no camera still. As I make more and more YouTube videos, I'll be able to buy a new one. But until then, I won't be able to get one. Just trying to clean up my account a little bit. All the red dots bother me a lot. If there was a feature that I could fix, it would 100% be the claim all button on this. This is ridiculous. This drives me nuts. Why is there not a claim all on the rare versus the normal? Like, we literally pay for the rare gifts. Give us the claim all, right? Like, anyways. Uh, so the plan for today is to go over the tier list. It's not nearly as in depth as I would hope for it to be, and that's kind of why we've been putting it off. The tier list was initially presented by. Okay. The tier list is presented by Portion, member of the Nerd Herd. They have since left the game. They're still in the community. They're still an amazing person. And if you guys don't know, I fully intend on trying a new game that they introduced me to when it gets released. But until that point, please respect them and don't ping them about it or ping them about anything else in the future. Hey, what's up, Insanity, Marcus, Rick, Sherfrigs? How are you all? So I've been getting some wild reports about Groundhog. I'm doing all right, Hermes. I'm doing all right. I've been getting some wild reports about Groundhog. Any of that true? I haven't hit it yet. I've been dealing with some family stuff. Just got the kid in bed, stuff like that. It doesn't look bad. 305 mil. That seems about right. Hey, what's up, Wally? Uh, one sec. I gotta correct them. They have to say that that's they mean in game. Yeah, we gotta keep it PG here. Hey, what's up, Wally? What's up, Sniper? Uh, so again, the tier list was initially presented by Porcent. They left the game. They're still in the Discord. They're still being a moderator. They're still being their awesome, amazing self. Try not to ping them about the tier list. Try not to ping them about anything else. If they decide to talk, chat, whatever, so be it. But there's no pressure on them. I want them to stay in the Discord and stay a part of the community as much as they feel comfortable. And then for as far as like the rest of this is concerned, the tier list does have data back behind it. We sent out a message to you guys about a lot of it, so we did finally place it. It's not as specific as the last tier list was. That's getting cleaned up in the background, so there will be a more presentable and specific background or like tier list presented here shortly. This is just like the initial base one. It'll be reflected commonly inside of a lot of the tier lists. And then I will be trying a new game when it comes out. Don't know what'll come of it. It's a completely different strategy style of this game, but a member from the Nerd Herd really recommended it, and I trust the Nerd Herd with everything from me. I'm not sick, so hopefully I don't need to get better soon. I just have like a chronic cough for whatever reason, but anyways, so the tier list again, the tier list is pretty generic overall. It's more of like an overall ranking of the special ants. There's a lot of crossover. This is a PvP tier list, not PvE tier list. If they did change the groundhog, I'm not aware of it yet. I haven't done the groundhog hits yet. This is my first time on the game all day, so or since reset. But yeah. So again, this is just like an initial tier list. It'll get better shortly. We have it cleaning up in the background to like be prettily formatted, proper colors, stuff like that, along with universal, along with like ranges at front, mid, back. Hey, what's up, Dream Big? So as you can see, no universal ant is any longer in the front. So the change here, so this is the initial tier list. The change here is going to be that Crimson Fragger, which is A tier, right, or is BT here, is definitely going to get moved up to A tier, and Jack Jumper is going to get moved down to B tier. Now, while Jack Jumper is better for peak damage and will be overall better for like, I don't know, Groundhog that's happening right now, Jack Jumper is not as impressive as Crimson Fragger in PvP due to consistency. Crimson Fragger is probably the most consistent ant released in the game. So Crimson Fragger is definitely going to move up to A tier. The only reason Crimson Fragger doesn't move to S tier is because there's so many good pay-to-win ants and there's so many good Lost Island ants that while Crimson Fragger is awesome, those S tier ants need to stand out above them and fit a lot of the ranged role that Crimson Fragger needed. If Crimson Fragger were support, slightly different maybe, Crimson Fragger would be there, but obviously not. Let's see. Then Giant Tooth Slim Arch. So yes, they're still the best formation. They're universal, blah blah blah. But while they are the support that enables a good team, we see them being split up a lot in like 3v3 or in multiple group situations, vice individual situations. So they're moving down to A tier. While their potency is still there, they're not silent nerf, nothing like that. That's not what I'm saying. While their potency is still there, it's important to remember that they're no longer the thing that makes up the team. They're more the thing that adds to the team. Whereas before it used to be Giant Tooth Slim Arched X. Now it's like X Giant Tooth X or X Slim Arch X. So because we're trying to make up more than one team. These four over here were the ones that we asked for data for. So before this got revised, just so you're aware, Ruby Slender would be like negative minus 7 trillion F tier if we had a category for Ruby Slender. Dusky Lurker, Gravedigger, and Blood Giant are all A tier. Dusky Lurker is a universal ant, and it is that role that kind of Crimson Fragger is falling in of being a support. But again, Crimson Fragger is insane and will be moving up to A tier itself. So Laffy Sniffer, Golden Crystal, and Parada, and Leaf Devourer, and Wise Berserker, they don't really need an intro why they're in S tier. If you've gone up against them, you understand why Golden Crystal and Laffy Sniffer have made their own reputation. Puffiel and Nifri is literally a guardian, PvP, and Proata is insane for both PvP and PvE content for Guardians. So this did bump down the Masters. As we know, Reap Master is the most inconsistent Master, has been considered going to B tier for this reason. But like the March speed and stuff is pretty insane. Again, though, Reap Master may go to B tier when we come out with like the final tier list. Shickery Master and Mimicry Master definitely will both still be A tier. Shickery Master's downfall to not get into S tier is the fact that skill 8 targets all 3 rows, and by the time that it gets off, sometimes there's not a round or there's not a back row or a front row. So this kind of like removes its potency. And Shickery Master and Mimicry Master have been like outshined by the Golden Crystal. But Shickery Master is definitely by far the second strongest special ant for shooters specifically, in my or sorry, for carriers specifically, in my humble opinion. Mimic Remaster is definitely strong, consistent, hasn't had any issues. I'm actually building as a carrier main. I just built Remaster and I'm working on building Mimic Remaster for the consistent Pangolions that are going to be happening. Nimble Tree Ant is like A tier at best. Shield Warden is okay. Ghost Ant and Golden Venom, obvious reasons to be A tier. Golden Venom has an argument to move down to B tier, but because after 5 stars it gets so consistent, it's still at A tier. We haven't broken down the tier list in between the classic star breakoffs. The classic star breakoffs being 0 star, 2 star, 5 star, 8 star. The reason that those are going to be considered the classic star breakoffs, or like the value points of a special amp, is because, excuse me, those are the active skills that matter, and special amps gain the most significant impact and difference in the special amp skills. Not to mention skill 5 and skill 8 are going to be where you get or require so many duplicates. So that's why they're going to be, or that's why if that tier list ever comes out, which is way more complicated than I ever thought it would be, because it's like 4 columns, that's where those would be at. Again, the tier list that we will be releasing shortly, and I say we because it is a nerd herd community, is not just I. The tier list that we will be releasing shortly is going to have front, mid, back row, and then the tiers you all know: S, A, B, C, and F. Yeah. All right. So Black Cancer, Dark Hercules, Banshee Panda, Dark Giant, New World General. Dark Giant's probably going to drop down to C tier. New World General is going to stay in B tier. There's very little times that you want a Dark Giant over a New World General. We should make that clear. Banshee Panda, while it has fallen off, is still relevant inside of like a Team 2, March Unit 1, March Unit 2 type scenario for Banshee Panda. Definitely not worth the money unless you're like a super whale. Dark Hercules is like interesting because while like Mimic Remaster outshines it, the other Guardian specific ants that like super outshine it and like make you think about it is Parada and Fed. I can't pronounce that one, but like they're super pay to win ants. So it's hard for it to be placed down here, but at the same time that makes sense because of bang for buck, because each copy is $100. So this is like kind of the struggle that we've been experiencing. And then Black Cancer is great, but it's only great in a pure Guardian March. And our tier lists, well, our troop specific tier lists need to accept the fact that mixed marches, especially Guardian and Shooter, are very, very common. And so Black Cancer skill 8 only being effective with Guardians makes it really difficult, right? I already talked about Crimson Frigger, definitely going to move up to A tier. Jack Jumper is definitely going to move down to B tier. Crimson Frigger is just way more consistent, way better. Brown Rogue is definitely B tier, maybe even C tier, for the fact that in order to get him over the long haul is $1,500 only. Bullet Ant and Golden Armor definitely have earned B tier. Golden Armor has really turned around in the PvP scene and has definitely earned his namesake in a PvE scene. Bullet Ant is like your best CC after Giant Tooth and Slim March. So all right, so C tier, Guard General, Acid General, both make sense for these roles. They're like good in niche situations, but they're nothing anyone would invest in initially. Banshee Panda or Banshee Velvet and Enigmatic Tailor will probably get dropped down to D tier. They're just never a ant that you want in PvP. So that's why they're going to likely drop down. Driver ants also likely going to drop down. So the issue here is like D tier should be F tier, and then maybe C tier should make its own D tier. Because like Banshee Velvet, Enigmatic Tailor, and Driver Ant I would never use, or White Velvet I would never use. Yeah, so these 4 probably going to swap. Golden Sugar definitely deserves its own spot. And then Driver Ant, Banshee Velvet, and Enigmatic Tailor are like special ants that I'd be okay using if I had to, etc., etc. Same with Golden Spiny. White Velvet Rock Bandit, Jack Black, and Predator, I would rather run no special ant over running them. So they're definitely in a different tier. And then Ruby Slender is also, I would rather run no ant than running them. And then Blood Giant, Gravedigger, and Dusky Lurker are all going to go A tier. Dusky Lurker definitely deserves the A tier list for obvious reasons. Same with Blood and Gravedigger. Dusky Lurker really shines once he gets to 5 stars. Zachary, Acid General just isn't a special ant that you should be considering building as a shooter main. Well, it is a decent shooter ant. Its roles are first or back row. It's not great first row, and then for back row, Laffy Sniffer is better. Excuse me. Reap Master's better. Jack Jumper, Crimson Frigger is better. Acid General just isn't the special ant that you want. That's why Acid General is so low. It's not when you think of like a back row special ant, Acid General is not where you're gonna shout out. And then as a front row special ant, it's definitely not one you want to shout out. And Acid General is by far not a mid row special ant. So like that's kind of why we like the positioning tiers. This was proposed initially as like a talking point. And we had some really good conversations. I'm kind of showing that like raw data information, trying to present it as well-rounded as possible, because that's what you guys have been asking for a long time, and I'm just struggling to get it out there. The complexity as more and more pieces happen makes me second guess it a lot, right? Because this tier list, well, is just names on sheets of papers, is people investing a lot of time and effort as a free-to-play player and as a pay-to-win player, in some cases, a lot of money to be able to build these teams. So everything that I do needs to be calculated, mathematical, and backed with data. And that's why it's taking time, which is why Acid General being at C tier makes it so difficult to understand when looking at such a basic form. But that is why Acid General's so low. Not the first one you should ever think of. Front row, awful. Mid row, Acid General mid row is useless, and back row has better spots. Sorry for the ramble. Needed to get off my chest, I guess. Anyways, does anyone else have any questions, feedback on the initial? This is again initial. You guys can't see me gesture towards my computer screen at all. This is again like just the initial rough draft. The final one is being built inside of Microsoft Excel. It has all those pretty colors. It has everything you guys want, what you guys are used to. This is just the rough draft that we've been talking about that's been used as a discussion point over the last week. So Acid General is either being used for its defense debuff, Zachary, or it's being used for DPS. And in the middle, it's trying to do two things that it's not great at the same time, which makes it awful. Golden Crystal is not a pay-to-win ant. Himashu, neither is Leaf Devour or Wise Berserker. So no. Jet Black did work amazing on paper when we did our initial reviews. Jet Black is awful in action. If that's like a miscode that they haven't caught, or if that's you know, just not their season, not their time, right? Yeah. Maybe Hermes. I could test it out on Naya Cupcake's account. Naya Cupcake has both Dusky Lurker and Acid General, so I can do some testing. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, yeah. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hermes, what tests you think I should do? I have those special ants available to test, to try and bring up Acid General with a like thing. No, you're good, Budwar. It's just not a complaint that I'm unfamiliar with. So, dream big. So best formations now for free to play without season ants, PvP, PvE. You're gonna the best part about you not having season ants is going to be the same thing that your pay to win players don't have. So they don't have the golden crystal and stuff like that. So giant tooth, slim arch, damage, DPS is going to be your same answer. Like even for the pay to win players that have like access to some of these higher tier ones, they don't shine without some of the Lost Island ants. So your best formation is the same as their best formation: giant tooth, slim arched, DPS of some sort. Now that DPS can be Jack Jumper, it can be Chicory Master, it can be Reap Master, it can be Golden Sugar, right? But it's going to be a DPS of some sort. hopefully that makes sense. So what do I think is more important, combat speed or troop health? Okay, so I don't know when that's ever a comparison, combat speed or troop health. There's not really something that does one or the other. You usually work on them independently. So maybe if you could give me a situation. It also depends on what game mode you're talking about. So excuse me. If you're talking about anything in duels, right? So if we're talking about 3v, oh, I don't want that. Crimson Fragor is better than JJ and everything but PvP or Groundhog. Like on a DPS scale, Jack Jumper is better because it has a higher peak. Crimson Fragor is better at anything that isn't just trying to get the highest peak damage, because Crimson Fragor is the most consistent damage. You're not looking at a lot of variety with him. So Zachary, combat speed doesn't apply inside of the ton of duels, so none of this uses combat speed, so obviously health is more important. But in other aspects, combat speed is important, and health can be, manipulated in other ways. Also, combat speed against like the squirters during the kill event has 400 plus combat speed. So how much additional combat speed are you talking about? I just your question's pretty open. Combat speed almost 9 times out of 10, assuming like all other stats. If all other stats are even in a regular PvP, like you hit my anthill, I hit your anthill, combat speed. Zachary, I know it can be rough. I just wanted to do more damage. Or wanted to do more data. Yeah, Nightcrawler. If they can give us 2 more Crimson Fragors, that'd be insane. My Crimson Fragor is already 2-star. I'm still running Reap Master here. This is from the Pangolin event. So my Crimson Fragor is already 1-star, has the capability to be 2-star. So another 2 would be insane for me. I would love that so much. So that makes me so happy. Oh shit. Poopy McGoopy. Let's put that there, and then let's grab this one over here, and let's put Crimson Fragor here. All right. Sorry, they're all still jacked up. Okay. That's totally fair. I use Crimson Fragor and Jack Jumper on Groundhog for the exact, or not on Groundhog, but for Pangolin. Dream big. There is significant changes, and we are working on a way to adequately display that information in data. There's like only 2 or 3 ants that improve with star up changes, so it's not like super significant, and I can help people on a one-on-one basis, or my Discord can help a lot. But for instance, Dusky Lurker at 5 stars, insane. Golden Venom at 5 stars, insane, but that's another $200. Golden armor at 2-star is way better than golden armor at 0-star. So there are some changes. But the sheer volume of data needed to get them at 2, 5, 8-star, and the amount of time to process it is well, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so it's getting to be a lot. So we're probably going to release it with so that was the rough version that we just went over. We're probably going to release it with just like a or front row, mid row, back row, and then stars will maybe be like a discussion in Discord or something else, because that just the sheer volume of data and situation by situation is getting to be a lot for me to process through. It's a lot. The Sheriff Rager's gold. The reason I have Golden Crystal in the mid and Shikari Master in the back is because in normal PvP, this is giant or ghost ant. So normally when I'm doing PvP, this is how it's set up. And damage is typically excluded on the first row before any other rows. However, carryover damage can be excluded on the second row by special ants, but the first row troops always target the first row. Anyways, Golden Crystal doesn't need the multiplication factor that occurs in PvP in order to deal damage. His damage is all from poison, whereas Shikari Master requires the multiplicative bonuses of multiple troops. Hopefully that helps. Sheriff Fergers. Yeah, dream big. I'm not trying to like sound like a meanie butt or someone that doesn't want to help you. I'm happy. Surefire. Thank you. So dream big. I'm not trying to sound like someone that doesn't want to help you, doesn't want to like have a conversation with you. Feel free to hit me up in Discord. Feel free to hit me up YouTube comments, line. I have all sorts of social media platforms for you guys. So please don't feel intimidated to come out and ask me. It's such a case by case situation for startups. It's just I can't handle the data and my new job. That's true, Nightcrawler, but it just doesn't need the troop damage. No, Agmatic Tailor is trash in PvP, and with the changes to Groundhog that happened like 2.5 months ago, Agmatic Tailor is not good in Groundhog either. It's a useless ant right now. Okay. All right. So hopefully that helps you guys. I don't know. I don't know if it does or doesn't. I know it's not a finished product, but it's something everyone's been asking for, and I know they're making decisions with or without it. So I'd rather put the information out there. Again, a prettier version, a nicer version, whatever insert word here version that you guys know and expect from me will be out. That'll be the released full version. A Wally, that's a lie. I don't know what else to tell you. That's true. And Trina, my mom is actually in charge of the tier list, so I guess Sigmatic Taylor's now S tier. My apologies, Trina. A Wally, that is not true. It's a lie. I don't know what else to tell you. That's true. All right. All right. Does anyone else? I mean, we can go back to the tier list, of course, later, assuming no one else has questions about anything else. But anyone else have like any relevant tier list questions to ask, like right this second, or their heart will explode and they'll lose their mind and they'll wish that I was a better person, human being, whatever. What you guys got? Any other questions, comments, concerns, queries, conundrums, quiffles, quabbles, quibbles, quaffles? You tell me. Okay. All right. So the next thing to talk about is the talent tree. So Gravedigger, Golden Crystal combo. Golden Crystal does a lot by itself, but Gravedigger's pretty okay. That's why Gravedigger's, again, making it to A tier. Gravedigger is going to make it to A tier, so, like, it's not bad at all. But yeah. Golden Crystal does insane. So, like, if you're trying to build multiple tiers with Gravedigger and Golden Crystal, maybe it's better to separate them out, because having one, like, think about 3v3. If you have one potent march that does everything insanely and, like, you know, makes you win, and then you know, send that out to hit a Konjiak, and then someone zeroes your hill, it doesn't matter how strong that one march was. I do think they're separate instances of poison, Nightcrawler, based off of how I read it. Hermes, my dream march is probably something around the lines of what I already have. Either, you know, maybe like Ghost Ant, Giant Tooth, Golden Crystal, Ghost, Giant Tooth, Golden Crystal, Chicory Master. I mean, I can build anything I want with shooters, so it's hard for me to, like. I mean, I guess I don't have Gold Digger, so, like, for Gravedigger, so maybe something with Gravedigger would be cool. I know Ruby Slender's awful. I'm the one that built it. I sucked that up. That was awful. 10 out of 10 will not invest. Dusky Lurker would be really cool to have for PvP. I would really not mind that. Blood Giant is, like, okay, but not something that I'm, like, very interested in. Gravedigger, though, oh my gosh, do I wish I had Gravedigger. And Dusky Lurker. Dusky Lurker is insane for PvP. That would make me real happy. For PvP, Crimson Figure. For PvE, Jack Jumper, a Wally. Yeah, so maybe it's like Ghost Ant and Gravedigger and Golden Crystal. I just don't have a Gravedigger to test it out, I guess. So, you know. Unfortunately, it's all hopes, dreams, and expectations. Sadness from beyond. That'd be fine. One golden crystal is essentially 3 golden crystals. I mean, it's all the same thing, right? All right. It's CA time for those that care about that type of thing. It is CA time, so go ahead and do your CA real quick. As you're doing your CA, I'm gonna run a quick ad, and then we'll keep going. I think Jet Black is awful, a Wally. So, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what combo you want to put him in. Jet Black is just not good. He does not perform the way they intended, I believe. I believe they intended for Jet Black to work really well, and Jet Black does not, in fact, work really well. He, in fact, is sheer doo-doo. Sheer and utter doo-doo. That's true. You know how to solve that is that you run both Chicory Master and Golden Crystal in the same march. That's my best solution for you. Like, I don't know what you want from me. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So now that we're all back, or maybe none of you left, insect talent tree. So the most important tree for the insect talent tree is going to be your blue one. For everyone, as far as I'm concerned. For carrier, so carrier down in the middle. The way this works is carriers down the middle, and then over here inside of the insect talent tree, you have synthesis, and then you have basic. Your blue tree is going to be probably your most important tree. But then carrier down the right hand side to this second combat speed right here, right? So you're going to want to go down into the second combat speed of 10. Nothing else here is really like super worth picking up, right? Like if you want to go for health, I guess, but like it's not worth it compared to the way blue is. So yeah, one sec, sorry. Yeah, so like for carriers over here, your number one goal is to get to this point right here. But in order to unlock that, yeah. And then for insect talent points on here, the blue tree is not the exact same, so this one changes slightly, and this one doesn't really have the combat speed that everyone else or that carriers does. So it depends on the purpose that you're running your Atlas Beetle, right? As you guys can kind of see, the basic tree is all the same, but then the skill tree is different, and then obviously the carrier versus universal is different as well. So the basic tree is not well invested into for almost anyone. If we give me one moment, I will pull up a nifty little picture I have for you. Please come to me. I need a picture. Sorry, ill prepared. Fire the host. There we go. All right. So, all right. This is all the farther I'd go for basic on almost any tree. And this is like max, so you can change this or you can invest into this as you want. But this is all the farther I'm building in basic. For the blue tree for carrier, this is how I would build. Blue tree for carrier, this is how I would build. And then red tree, again, going down to combat speed over here. And then you can reach out for some of these stats, but none of these are really worth it. And I would not, so I'd prioritize combat speed, and then I'd almost explicitly focus on blue. So the chances you reach the rest of these, not high. And then again, this is all the farther I'd go for basic. Yeah. Okay. And then for Atlas, again, it's going to be the exact same. Only two for defense, attack, of course, invasion attack, sure, all defense, or sorry, we don't do invasion attack, and then march speed max, because the faster that you march, A, insects, and B, less chance for them to move. And then here you have attack. This is defense, so like least powerful. That's damage taken, not nearly as important, but it's going to probably be the next one we invest into. Here you do an attack, which is why you built this in the first place. And then this damage taken buff does not interest me at all, but this attack does. So the Atlas Beetle will probably be the most interesting, if not most complicated special ant to invest into, in my opinion. Do we have questions on the talent tree? Happy to help, happy to answer. I just need questions. Question, please. Question, sir? Or ma'am? Test, is anyone out there? Okay. Okay. So if you do have questions on the talent tree, Stan made a video about it. It's in my Discord. So if we hop on, thank you. If we hop on over to my Discord, Stan did make his first and only video of, July. He might make a video again in like 6 months, maybe a year. But Stan did review his video. If you guys want, we could review it real quick, talk about it. I did not, Trina. Let's go ahead and watch Stan's video real quick. We'll pause it, we'll talk about it, and we'll try and use that to help push things out.
Right, new video on 3 things: the Pangolin event, as well as insect talents, and also the new reform pool. So they're all kind of tied together, and that's why I'm doing all 3 of these together. With that one, so first you should know that the Pangolin event, Shelley, it is happening every week now, and this is the main and kind of only way that you focusing on one troop type. So for me, so most players will most likely be like me, focusing on one troop type. So for me, I'm focusing on shoot.
Yeah, he does. Nightcrawler it is going to be. If you're running Guardians, probably Bullet Ant almost always, Carlos. He does have messed up audio. This is my first time watching it, so I was going to review it live. But that audio is driving me nuts. He does touch on a very important topic that I'd like to touch on. A lot of people have messaged me about this on the Pangolin event. They're like, well, with Pangolin, I want to build T9s of each one first, right? And it's like, no. If we look at how the Pangolin is structured, the Pangolin event, it just pays out for overall damage in the personal rewards and damage as an alliance. So as personal rewards, overall personal rewards, focusing on one troop type still gets you there and makes your account overall stronger for everything else. Whereas separating it all means you have to also separate genetics, separate the new thing, separate your resources for building special ants, all sorts of stuff. So unless you're like a Megalodon in whale format, you should still be focusing on a single troop type, because that allows you to efficiently spend or efficiently free to play grind one troop type to build to that damage potential and peak. If you separate your resources out, you're going to be the master, a jack of all trades, but the master of none. So, and yes, I'm aware that saying continues, but the expression is as far as I want to use it right now. You want to try and master one to be exquisite at that one, and not try and divide all of your funds, because like I don't spend enough on this game to have the same attack stat bonus and damage stat multipliers and stuff invested into shooters and guardians that I do on carriers. I don't spend enough money in this game to have the same special lance developed as I do for carriers. So definitely agree with Stan that you should be building only one troop type. All right, let's look at talent tree real quick.
For my carrier team, I use this one, and then for shooter team, obviously, my shooter insect. So with that,
all right, so an important part, real quick, why Stan has three insects leveled up instead of just leveling up one insect is because the higher you push 3 insects, 1, you have 3v3 benefits, 2, if you have a universal and an individual, obvious reasons with Pangolin event, but 3, it pushes you farther in the cave, right? The insect cave talent tree thing. So you gain more passive points every time, and you're eventually going to want to level up more than 1 insect anyways. So it's better to focus on 3 insects and continue to grow. I haven't hit Groundhog yet, so I don't know how much my Groundhog's going to be for. My best hit last Groundhog was 172 mil, and my Golden Crystal hit for 74 mil.
Insect talents that I'll be focusing on is just going to be optimizing for a versus Pangolin. And
all right, so here, as you can see, it's focusing the most on blue tree. The blue tree overall is going to be your best bang for bulk investment. The rest of the trees have like little pretty things that you want to pick up, but none of them are as wise of an investment. And again, the orange tree has like gold tree. It's the universal one. It's basic for a reason, but it has the least appealing stats or genetics or anything like that. So barring any like limitation of like, in order to unlock this skill over here, you need to have this skill over here unlocked, that isn't written anywhere. Our recommendation is going to be, you know, that minimal gold tree that I showed you, and then heavy investment into blue, and then medium investment into red, right? So basic is going to be like your least important, blue's going to be your most important, and red's going to be your least important, or red's going to be your middle one. You need at least 3 9-star insects. If you want to make a 4th one, go for it. If you don't want to make a 4th one, don't. I have 4 9-star insects because I believe you should have 4 marches. An optimal player would probably have 3 9-star insects and just continue like that. There's no real reason for a 4th march besides it makes me feel better. There's even an argument for only having 2 strong insects, but I think those arguments are invalid. So, yeah. Who lied to you? I didn't lie to you at all, Trina.
versus Groundhog setup, and a versus Groundhog and Pangolin setup for your universal insect, and a PvP setup for your universal insect. So I have 2 universal insects, so I have one for my pure damage and one for PvP.
All right, so what he's talking about here is that Pangolin and Groundhog are a pure DPS race, right? So that's why you use Jack Jumper, that's why you use Reap Master over like Crimson Fragor and stuff that is more consistent. The reason that you want to do that is because you're just looking to roll your dice the best that's possible. Now, you don't care about like chances or odds or anything like that. You just care about that one die roll, that one Yahtzee, right? And then what he's saying on the second one is that your stats need to be min-maxed to be more efficient overall at what you're trying to do. Combat speed is only for PvP. If your goal is like super strong PvP, then yeah, sure, combat speed, but you should be going for pure attack if you're doing Pangolin. I'm not watching the entire video, so if you have like a part of the video that I should watch that maybe he goes over it, Trina, I'm happy to talk about it or theorize about it. Stan is very smart at what he says and what he does, so I'd be interested in knowing. Are you sure he doesn't bring up that you should focus on combat speed if you're doing a PvP tree, Trina? Because he does talk about PvP versus Pangolin tree. Most of my viewers are not going to care about PvP nearly as much as they'll care about Pangolin, because Pangolin is better for a free-to-play or light spender. But I do touch PvP because it is an important thing that some of my viewers care about. Carlos, it depends on how much you mean you are carrier main. If you're like T8 and you don't have any creature remains invested into carriers, you can shoot, trade, whatever you want. But if you're like 2 months into using creature remains and you have like T9 carriers and only T8 shooters, I'd say like keep your shot. Then you can do shooters if you want, Carlos. It's a game. Do whatever makes you happy, man. I agree, PvP is fun, but PvP can be discouraging if you are not like a significant pay-to-play player with pay-to-play aspects. Oh yeah, Trina, that's totally fair. It's kind of like me and Jet Black. I really thought Jet Black was going to be an insane special ant, but then it came out on paper and it was like, Jet Black is awful. Your 9-star Rove Beetle will beat a 7-star Giant Mantis 10 times out of 10 times if everything else is even. There is no amount of RNG that will cause that 7-star Giant Mantis to beat your 9-star Rove Beetle. Your 9-star Rove Beetle will always win. Now, if you're going to spend on like the insect talent or the insect special ant thing that costs $25 or $30 or whatever it is a month, and you're gonna get a 9-star in 2 months, 3 months, then maybe you invest into that gold one first. All right.
So starting it off, I guess I'll do shooters. It's the easiest. I use this setup just all the time for PvP and Pangolin and Groundhog. So going for this one here, boosting skill damage, and also going for this one here.
Yep, so attack damage is going to help in both PvP and Pangolin. You're obviously going to focus on PvP and Pangolin before you're going to focus on anything else. A Wally, maybe. I'm not a mind reader. Jet Black is awful. It reads so much better on paper. So I hope that they release that they made a coding error and they're gonna fix Jet Black, because the way it reads on paper, it should be significantly better than the way it is now. The way it is now is just sad. It's just sad. Not gonna lie. Thanks, Thomas. I hear you on the game status. I'm gonna be trying out a different game when it comes out. See where that takes the community. I really want the community to stick with me. But I hear it. I hear you. I hear you, Thomas. You're not the only one feeling it. Gonna see how this last island goes. And then if this last island goes horrendously, I'll be leaving the game again, or I'll be leaving the game I'm not gonna risk it. But I want to, you know, I told everyone I'd give another Lost Island its chance, so that's what I'm gonna do. It deserves it, and my community deserves it. But I feel you, Thomas. Then you might like the new game that I'm considering playing. A member of the Nerd Herd is gonna be doing it. Sorry, you guys. I know this is way off topic and has nothing to do with ants. Give me like 2 minutes, and I'll get back on there. This is the game that I'm gonna be trying out when it comes out. I pre-registered and everything. Thomas, it's a battle royale style game. It looks like, or maybe tower defense battle royale style game. It's by Blizzard. Has like really good beta reviews. One of my Nerd Herd members pointed me in the direction they left the game for this. So this will be what I'll be trying out whenever it comes out. It's supposed to be out by the end of the year. So I mean, maybe Lost Island goes well and I keep playing. But yeah, anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Glad to see you cared enough to stop and see a video. I really appreciate the support enough to come back and watch a live on a game that you don't play. That is actually super heartwarming. I really appreciate it, Thomas. Thank you. All right. All right, Joshua, we don't talk about what they did with Diablo Immortal. They're allowed to have one mistake in a decade and still be okay. I didn't think they skipped a migration, Dream Big. Trina, I part of me sees that there's a larger migration group because if they're really willing to pair server 2 through server 500. But I'd like to see them actually pair server 2 through server 500 before I make that decision. But so the way that this type of migration works is they have to expand the server numbers over and over and over again. If they don't continue expansion, they're just going to lead to, like, you know, hyper servers versus dead servers, and there's just going to be, you know, 10 servers and the rest won't matter. Expanding it out allows a lot more variety and a lot more niches to form. So Thomas, I feel you. I've changed my thing to having like end goals. So like my end goal was getting four 9-star insects. I have that now. I'm happy. My end goal was getting all of my genetics to the final tier of purple. I have that now. I'm happy. My end goal was to get to fungus all level 9. I have that now. I'm happy. My end goal is to get T10 carriers. I'm like 5 weeks off of that. I'm happy. I just changed my view on the game to adjust it because I really like my community and I want to stay with my community. But I am looking forward to a different potential in the game, or into a different game, stuff like that. They tried merging servers and it crashed the game for like a day and a half. It was really bad. They said they'll never be able to merge servers again. So that's how the merging goes.
On my shooters, I've finished my and for that you can get your main 3, as well as there is these ones here. So these ones, they can go on any of your troop types. So for example, right now there's damage dealt to Pangolin. I had this on my shooters. I've finished my Pangolin for shooters, so I'm going to put that on my carriers for tomorrow.
I don't have this unlocked, so I don't know how you unlock that. If someone knows, I would love that. I appreciate it, Rest. I mean, I love the community. That's why I still play. But and I have an end goal of T10 carriers. But I also made a commitment that I'd stay for the next Lost Island. And if I'm not a man of my word, then what am I? right? Yeah, I understand the first three is by building level. How do you get the last two, the middle two that he had? I don't know how to get this one unlocked or this one unlocked, right? So if we look at my main, I still don't have. Oh, let me open that right there real quick. I still don't have any of these things unlocked. I don't know. After cooperation level 1, reform cooperation. Cooperation level 1, carrying counter on cardiac defense. Level 5 soldier reform. So does that mean I have to get 3 of these to level 5? So it's because I'm like a free-to-play player that I haven't done that yet? Ah, okay. I'd get Golden Spiny to 8-star first. Golden Spiny 8-star is pretty solid improvement to the gameplay. Anyone without a 8-star Golden Spiny just doesn't know how to play the game. Like they don't understand the power of the level 1 spider, you know what I'm saying? We'll keep that between us. I don't even know what I'm combining at this point. I have exactly zero idea. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have no idea what I just did there, but it was a button that needed to be clicked, so I clicked it. That's probably pretty bad. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. That is fact. Golden Spiny actually one shots the groundhog without once it gets 8-star. I'm just saying. One shots groundhog. If you don't know it, now you know. Okay, so my opinion on the soldiers reform pool. I think that it was the burnout point for a lot of spenders, and I am a byproduct of the people I hang out with. And while I do chat in regular Discord a lot, I chat to higher pay-to-win spenders more frequently, and that's not because I don't love free-to-play players, but there are a lot more of you, and the high spenders request my time via like Patreon and stuff, right? So it is hard for me, and it's important for me because I enjoy making content, and I want to eventually one day maybe be able to leave my job, which is like a lot of money, to be able to make content. So it's important for me to understand the health of a game by talking to the free-to-play players, because they're the people that are going to increase the overall popularity of the game. But also the attitude of those that spend money, because they're the ones literally paying my bills. And when Mutation came out, when the Soldier Reform Pool came out, that was like the last straw on a lot of players' backs, because what happened was, right, T10 carriers came out, no big deal. New insects came out, slight upset, but then they fixed it. They gave you the way to downgrade insects and then upgrade insects. It was pretty cool, right? You could change levels of insects and stuff. But then as like the higher whales and stuff like that had like the set budget that were like starting to max out genetics, right? Because like some of them were like max germs, max genes, or max cells, max germs, or they had 2 out of 4 maxed. Then a new insect that was just strictly better than the previous pay to win insect came out, and new things. And And most games that go like this don't just forsake all of the damage until the game is like suffering significantly, dying, being replaced, things like that. So it's a bunch of red flags. Do I still spend on the game? Yep, you guys saw it. I spend the $1 and $10. Do I hope they turn it around next Last Island? Yep, I do. But I would be a fool to not acknowledge that. And my form of income, you know, something that helps pay the bills, buys the dogs food, right? If I didn't acknowledge that and look for a new game. So that's probably one of the two reasons that I have been looking for a new game. And this game, the game that I just showed you guys, is the game that a really good friend of mine is moving to, that I trust a lot. Yeah, Omar, Ruby Slender is F tier, bottom of the barrel. You're like scratching your boot on it. Ruby Slender's real bad. 10 out of 10, would not recommend investing into Ruby Slender. Maybe 10 out of 100 or 100 out of 10. Would not recommend investing into Ruby Slender. What else, you guys? That's true. I think the reform pool offers a lot of really cool things. Uh, like if we look at the reform pool instead of like the timing of it, right? If you look at the reform pool instead of the timing, it offers what raiders should have been: a lot of customizable things that allow you to be engaged in the game in order to ensure better success at doing combat-y type stuff. This is what raiders should have been. Raiders should have given buffs they had to swap around all the time, much like Jet Black's awful. Much like Cultivator, you have to swap between the resources you're doing: march speed, gathering speed, right? You have to swap before pre-gathering, regular gathering, all that other stuff. Same with Herder, right? You have to swap, you have to trade, you have to, you know, based off of what day. This is what Raiders should have been. It should have been a swap to benefit invasion, garrison, Pangolin damage, groundhog damage, maybe, right? This one even goes into, you know, defense increase against seasoned station troops, right? So this is clearly a Lost Island item. So damage dealt to groundhog, like there's literally an item for that. So this should have been what Raiders was. This is what Raiders should have been. I have Shield Warden placed at A tier, so that's what I think of the update. I think the update was poorly planned in timing and has scared a lot of people from spending, and that it makes me look for a new game. And I think that if we look at it in an altruistic, remove money from the situation, this update is what Raiders should have been. It's a very good and good and well healthy addition to the game, but it was extremely poorly timed and will never be received well by the community because of it. I don't understand Dream Big. I do not follow your conversation at all. Yeah, Joshua, the benefit of swapping to Raider is the heal speed efficiency, but like, eh. Banshee Velvet's awful PvP. Banshee Velvet's useless in the game, just like Igmac Taylor right now. It was good at Groundhog for like a month, and then it got replaced by better DPS ants. And it's never been good at PvP. All right, chill. I think that about covers everything I wanted to talk about. You have skill 9 on it. Skill 8. I do not like Jet Black at all. However, I'm never going to tell you to scrap an ant. If we look at me and all my dupes, I keep everything so that way I am able to build it if it becomes meta. But I would not. It's not what I'd do it. Bale? Is that real Bale, the one that left me? Bale! Bale. Guys, if this is actually Bale, Bale was a member of the Nerd Herd. Ended up leaving the game and disconnecting from reality, and it is great to see him. Nothing but love and respect for Bale. Yes, Omar, that is how that works. That's how that works. Bale, if you are the real Bale, it is good to see you. I'm happy that you are here. You know, if you feel comfortable at some point in time, hit me up on Discord. Would love to hear you. Freedom, I've already told you that I think Banshee Velvet is awful. He has no place in the game right now. All right. Thanks y'all for coming out. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate all the positive comments. The finalized PvP tier list will be out shortly. I just want to get it to you. Yeah, everything's good. Much better. You just put a giant smile on my face, Bill. I'm not even gonna lie. I never thought I'd hear from you again. So, if you ever want to talk, not even about ants, if you just want to talk about whatever, please, my Discord is yours. You can message me and we'll talk. Doesn't even matter. So yeah. You too, Joshua. Until next time, y'all, you can catch me in the YouTube comments. I am there as frequently as I can be. Or you can catch me on Discord. I'm there all the time. I'm still the #1 talker. Trina can't catch up to me at all. Or worst case scenario, you can catch me on server 260 or server 7. Until next time, y'all, stay humble, stay happy, stay hungry. Bye, y'all.